Being home alone always gave me a mix of freedom and unease. The quietness of the house could be comforting, but it also made every creak and rustle seem amplified, creating an eerie symphony that played on my nerves. One evening, my parents had gone out for a dinner party, leaving me with the house to myself. I settled in for a relaxing night, planning to watch a thriller on TV and snack on some popcorn. The warm glow of the screen and the familiarity of my surroundings felt reassuring. As the movie flickered on, a faint ringing sound intruded into the room. I glanced around, trying to pinpoint its source. The sound was subtle at first, almost like a distant memory. Yet, as time went on, it grew louder and more insistent. Annoyed by the interruption, I paused the movie and followed the sound. It led me to the hallway, where an old landline phone sat on a table. Its screen displayed an unfamiliar number, and curiosity got the better of me. I picked up the receiver, wondering who could be calling at such a late hour.
Hello.
I spoke into the receiver, unsure of what to expect. The silence on the other end was unsettling. I could sense a presence on the line, as if someone was waiting, listening.
I can see you,
the voice finally hissed, a cold shiver running down my spine. My heart raced, and I quickly hung up the phone. Feeling the weight of the dark outside pressing against the glass, desperation drove me to call my parents, seeking reassurance. They dismissed my fear, attributing it to a prank call. Their words were meant to console, but the unease lingered like a shadow. I turned to the TV for distraction, hoping the moving images could drown out my fear. Yet every sound in the house seemed magnified, and I jumped at the slightest noise. Hours dragged on, and I decided it was time to sleep. I climbed into bed, pulling the covers tight around me, but as I closed my eyes, I thought I heard footsteps outside my window. Panic surged within me as I strained my ears to listen. A shadow passed over the window, and I gasped, my heart pounding in my chest. Fear held me captive in my own room, and I clutched my phone like a lifeline. Dialing 911, I waited as the operator's voice provided a sense of connection to the outside world. The approaching sirens brought relief, their flashing lights chasing away the darkness that had consumed me. Police arrived, and I watched from my window as they searched the area. Their presence offered comfort, though the lingering dread remained. The encounter had forever changed the way I viewed my sanctuary, turning it into a battleground between safety and the unknown. The ordeal left its mark, a reminder that even in the confines of my home, I was vulnerable to the terrors that lurked beyond its walls. This happened to me back in 2017 when I was 15 years old. My parents were out of town for a family gathering, leaving me to hold down the fort. I had just finished preparing a simple dinner and settled onto the couch, wrapped in a cozy blanket, ready to indulge in a good book. As the night deepened, the house seemed to settle into its own rhythm. The gentle hum of the air conditioning mixed with the occasional gust of wind outside, creating an oddly soothing symphony. I was engrossed in my book when a faint scratching sound caught my attention. I paused, listening intently. It was probably just a tree branch brushing against a window pane, I reasoned, trying to shake off the unease that crawled up my spine. Returning to my book, I did my best to ignore the persistent scratching. However, it grew louder, more insistent. A feeling of dread gripped me, and I decided to investigate the source of the noise. The sound led me to the kitchen, where I discovered the back door slightly ajar. Panic surged within me. I was certain I had locked that door earlier. My heart pounded as I slowly pushed the door shut, securing the latch. Unease settled in my stomach as I retraced my steps back to the living room. I tried to lose myself in my book once again, but an unsettling sensation crept over me. It was as if the walls held secrets that were inching their way into the forefront of my consciousness. Then I heard it. A soft whisper, like the murmur of voices just beyond my hearing range. I strained my ears, trying to make out the words, but they remained elusive. My pulse quickened, and I felt a chill that seemed to seep from the very walls around me. I knew I was alone, yet the whispers persisted. They seemed to encircle me, growing louder and more sinister. My breath caught in my throat, and I felt an overwhelming sense of being watched. With trembling hands, I reached for my phone, dialing my best friend's number. As soon as she answered, I blurted out my fears, explaining the strange occurrences that had been haunting me. She offered words of comfort, suggesting it might be my imagination playing tricks on me. Even as we spoke, the whispers seemed to grow louder, as if mocking my efforts to rationalize them away. I clung to my friend's voice, her words a lifeline in the midst of the inexplicable. Finally, she suggested I turn on all the lights and play some music to drown out the eerie sounds. Following her advice, I flicked on every light switch, filling the house with a warm glow. I selected an upbeat playlist and let the music envelop me. Gradually, the whispers receded, fading into the background as the music asserted its dominance. The atmosphere in the house shifted, and a semblance of normalcy returned. As the night wore on, I realized that I had confronted something beyond the ordinary. Whether it was a figment of my imagination or a presence from another realm, I couldn't be certain. What I did know was that being home alone had revealed a world of uncertainties that lurked just beyond the familiar. The whispers remained a mystery, a reminder that even within the sanctuary of my own home, there were corners of darkness that could shatter the illusion of safety. This happened back in my high school days. I was engrossed in an intense gaming session with my friends on a Discord call. The house was cloaked in silence, except for the clattering of my keyboard and the digital chaos unfolding on my monitor. Amid the excitement, a hushed voice cut through the conversation. One of my friends swore they had heard something, a faint whisper in the background. We laughed it off, attributing it to their overactive imagination or a strange quirk of the digital connection. But curiosity gnawed at me. I paused the game and slipped off my headset, suddenly attuned to the quiet that had settled around me. The house seemed eerily still, the familiar creaks and groans of the floorboards taking on a sinister edge. I announced my intention to investigate, leaving the call momentarily as my friends continued their virtual escapades. With cautious steps, I ventured into the dimly lit hallway, my heart beating faster with each passing moment. The shadows played tricks on my mind, the darkness seeming to warp and twist with every glance. I switched on the hallway light, the sudden brightness chasing away the encroaching dread. The house was empty. As I scanned my surroundings, I reassured myself that I was merely succumbing to the paranoia that can grip anyone alone in the silence. But then, from behind a partially closed door, a faint rustling reached my ears. My breath caught in my throat, and a shiver ran down my spine. I knew that I couldn't ignore it, that I had to confront whatever was causing this unsettling disturbance. With trepidation, I inched closer to the door, my heart pounding so loudly that I was certain the entire house could hear it. The rustling persisted, accompanied by a soft scraping sound that made my skin crawl. My mind raced, conjuring images of the sinister unknown that could be lurking on the other side. Summoning every ounce of courage, I pushed the door open, my fingers trembling as they made contact with the cool wood. And there, bathed in the faint glow of the hallway light, I saw it, a shadowy figure hunched over, its back turned to me. Fear gripped me, but I couldn't let it paralyze me. I reached for my phone, dialed 911, and whispered my location and the situation to the dispatcher. My voice was barely audible, the gravity of the moment pressing down on me. As I spoke, the figure turned, revealing a face etched with surprise and panic. In that chilling instant, I saw the glint of the knife clutched tightly in their hand. It was a sight that shattered any illusion of safety and catapulted me into a heart-pounding confrontation. My pulse raced as the intruder's eyes locked onto mine, the knife a stark reminder of the danger that had invaded my sanctuary. I backed away slowly, my phone pressed against my ear, my voice a trembling plea for help. Outside, the sirens blared to life, a symphony of salvation that cut through the tension-laden air. The intruders' resolve wavered, their panic growing as they realized that their actions had consequences. Moments later, the police stormed into the house, their commanding presence a stark contrast to the chaos that had unfolded. The intruder was apprehended, their weapon taken from them, and the once intimidating figure was reduced to a mere shadow of their former self. The officers assured me that I was safe, their professionalism a beacon of reassurance in the aftermath of the ordeal. They escorted the intruder away, their presence banishing the darkness that had clouded the night.